Hello and welcome to WooBiz, the show that explores how intuition, metaphysics, and unconventional intelligence gives entrepreneurs and business leaders a real-world edge in their work every day. It's where strategy meets awareness, where decisions go deeper than data, and success is built from alignment as much as execution and energy. And speaking of energy, this conversation was sparked during a recent coaching session with today's guest. His name's Andrew Bray, and he's a mystic, a metaphysical coach, and the founder of Awaken in Hamilton, Ontario, here in Canada. Andrew is also a close friend and a mentor of mine, and you may remember him from episode 2. What makes his perspective especially compelling is that he didn't begin in the spiritual world. He came from a traditional high results-driven management background before fully stepping into all of this work. And that blend of grounded business experience and energetic awareness is exactly what we're unpacking today. What reading people's energy actually means, how it works internally, how it differs from intuition or emotional intelligence, and how leaders can apply it ethically and effectively. So with that, let's welcome him. Hey, Andrew, thanks for coming back to the show. It's really great to see you again.
It is great to be back.
Since you came on, I mentioned this in our intro, but since you came on episode 2, boy, oh boy, we've come a long way. And, the other day when we were talking about energy, I just thought, not only do you run a business called Awaken, so, you are all about energy. In fact, I think you're the energy master. I just thought, we should really talk to people about how to read people's energy. Let's face it, in business, it's really important, right? It's so critical and something that you've really developed over the years. Tell me a little bit about how you got started, how you started to read energy from people, and maybe even how you used it because you were in the steel industry for the longest time too.
Right. I came from a corporate background, and to approach the question from a very logical point of view, I think we have to separate that there are two paths in that. I think for a lot of your listeners, there are going to be people that just are going to be starting from scratch in developing an intuition.
Mm-hmm.
But organically, from where I've come from the people I work with, they're already very, very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making that sensitivity a gift. And so there's two paths. Either I've got all of this intuition, all of this awareness, and it's too much, and I need to make sense of it and organize it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm starting from scratch and want to dive deeper into a deeper understanding and knowing and awareness.
Right.
So there's two paths altogether.
So for somebody who's starting out, what's your basic? I guess you have to be aware of yourself, and you have to start figuring out what energy feels like. Is that the best place to start before you can read anybody out there, like in the boardroom, an employee, or whatever? Like, what's the experience for somebody who's just starting?
Right. I think first step is acknowledging that we're all a little intuitive, and you want to learn how you work as a starting point. And an example could be if you go into a meeting, go into a room, and somebody there has intense emotions.
Yes. Well, that's an easy
You're
one,
likely
right?
aware of it on some level.
Well,
Right.
you can walk into a room
and
people are like, if somebody's had an argument, you can feel that. I think anybody who is human can feel that stuff. So that's a really good place to start, because I think the majority of people in the world have had that experience. Would you say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, exactly. And so, by definition, anybody that can relate to that is an empath.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people, especially on a spiritual path, will kind of judge and go, well, I'm an empath, but they're not, or they are, and I'm not. I think we all are. It's just a matter of how practiced you are, how much you tune into it, how much you use it, and how much it becomes conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And the more something becomes conscious, it's like, okay, I felt that. This person felt that way. And the opposite. There are people that light up a room.
Yeah.
And we can allow ourselves to be filled with that exuberance and that joy, and it's contagious. And that, again, is being an empath, which is using your intuition. That's kind of going beyond the traditional five senses, but we all can do it. We're all intuitive.
Right. Right. Makes sense. But it's a spectrum, right? Like my wife, my wife, Kay, and the
Yep.
listeners are familiar with Kay. She's been on the show a couple of times and she produces the show. Um, you know, Kay can feel other people's energy immediately. She just tunes into people's upset or anger or
Mhm.
happiness or whatever, and then she can tune herself to that. And sometimes it's exhausting for her. I think she's much more empathic than I am, and yet I can I
Right.
can still sense what's going on in a room. I can still feel tension between people. I can do that. But I think,
Mhm.
and maybe, everybody's starting point's going to be at a different level. But I love that you said that anybody can do it
Yep.
because it is innately a human thing. We're big antennas and
Exactly.
transmitters, aren't we?
Yes, we're all broadcasting and receiving at the same time.
Right. Right.
And great point in that you talked about Kay being a little bit more of an empath than you are,
Mhm.
because you're exactly right. I think there's a scale. And an analogy I like is maybe you're working at 480 and she's working at 720, and somebody else that's really good is working at 1080, and then that pro over there, that does this all the time, is in 4K, maybe 8K.
High resolution
It's just like
empathy.
everybody. Yeah,
That's a good.
yeah.
I like that.
Some
Uh,
some people, and everybody could sing.
right.
Some people should stick to the shower.
Yeah.
And we all can do this, and it depends how much you want to practice, how much it's valuable to you, how much you want to consciously dive into this.
Mhm. Okay. Tell me
And
tell me how
just to
oh,
follow up,
okay, go ahead. Please finish.
just want to this is just a spiel because it's so often part of my work. When you've got somebody that's sensitive, I think the best skill set ever is to start learning Reiki, which you and Kay
Mm,
have.
that's right.
So when you're doing a Reiki session, you get into a state of emanation
Mhm,
in that you are earth connected,
mhm,
you are connected to the flow, and you are shining.
mhm,
And so there's an energetic dynamic of shining, as opposed to empaths who occasionally get distracted and then become a sponge.
mm. I see.
And when you're a sponge, that's when the heaviness or the impact can be less than desirable. But when we get good in practice at shining, getting into that sinking into the flow, earth connected, breathing well, we can shine all day long just with conscious breathing and earth connection, and life is a different place.
So that's a big solid tip is, if you really wanna tune your antenna, like, study Reiki.
Mhm.
Study Reiki. Now, tell people
For
who
sure.
are new to Reiki or with that term, what exactly it is, just briefly so that we have some context.
Sure. Reiki is a complementary wellness modality where a Reiki practitioner is attuned to specific Reiki frequencies,
Mhm,
and a client lies comfortably on a massage table, fully clothed, usually with a blanket, soft lighting, soft music, and there are traditional hand positions where the Reiki energy is channeled into the client. And depending on how open and aware the client is, it can be anything from a mystical journey with colors and visions to just having a 1 hour vacation.
mhm.
But it's very relaxing. It's a wonderful thing to receive a Reiki session, and everybody should learn Reiki just because of the lessons and the wisdom it brings.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, honestly, I'd heard that, and you had talked to me about studying it, and then you trained Kay and I, and the amplification just after a day's session of learning that stuff is astonishing. And the other thing I found too is that my, would you call it my attunement? My attunement is amplified over the weeks since, specifically, certainly in the first couple of weeks. But increasingly so, I just saw suddenly I just feel everything now, and it's not explainable.
Right.
It's not explainable. So, that is a great tip because that has certainly helped me with my intuition and my sensitivities and my abilities. And I think that is a good foundational training for anybody that wants to read a room, read people, that sort of thing. Use this in their daily
Right.
work, I think that makes a ton of sense.
For sure. And just the whole exercise of going, can you feel that? Can you feel that? Put your hands here. Do you feel that? Does it feel this way? Does it feel that way? And you're going there and kind of allowing your awareness to go to these places where you never have before. And lo and behold, it just becomes more familiar, more comfortable.
Yeah. Very good. So let's switch tracks here for a second. So tell me a bit about, do you have any examples or any memories of something where you kind of really tuned into somebody in the workplace? Is there a little story you can tell us about that you remember from your days when you were a manager in the steel business? I hate to put you on the spot here, but go ahead.
Right. I think, and something that I suspect I didn't realize it was awareness at the time, but being having a staff and leading a team, you will just know who you can go to get things done. And it's beyond because of course there's track record and who gets things done. But it's just something you can feel. It's like, okay, I have this, where does this go? And there's almost a flow. Is it here? No. Oh, it's over there. And it's just a flow that I think we can all relate to in task assignment, and where's this energy going to flow? And you can just feel it.
Right.
This person, no. This person, yes.
Right.
And I think that's something we all do, but it's not something we may be conscious of.
No. I remember actually, so I also was a manager at a company years ago, and had a team of 17 people reporting to me. And I just remember very distinctly, there was one particular employee who he just had, it turned out that later on he had a substance abuse problem, I found out. And there was something about his energy. And at the time I was clueless about any of this stuff, other than just living my life and knowing, sometimes getting a feel for stuff. And this one guy, he sat in the corner of a meeting room like a block of, the only way I can describe it is a dead space, like something like a block. A block would be good, like something just, you didn't want to get too close because everything, time and space seemed to slow down. And you felt like you're being dragged into the mire of whatever he was dealing with. And that's that's a real thing. And at the time I didn't know he had a substance abuse problem. I didn't know much about his background, but I could feel something was off, and his performance was off. And anyway, so it was just I think, especially if you were like a human resources expert or somebody working in that world, or any kind of manager, it's an incredible skill to have if you can tune into people like that, because you can get a sense of somebody without any other evidence, any other logic. Right?
Definitely, for sure. And I think an interesting exactly what you're describing is probably like your gut feel. And it's when, and I think we all have those gut feels. And I like to distinguish between our gut awareness and instincts. And I think that's, as human beings, we were part of nature. We evolved on this planet. And so when we tune in, we can tune into something that's like instinct. But there's also the third eye intuition, whereas when you tune into the really high stuff, that's different than the gut instinct. If you're talking to loved ones or getting messages, that's all the third eye stuff. And when you get those gut feels, that's all the instinct stuff. And it's two kinds of intuition and processed differently.
I think you're right. Yeah, 100%. Well, you are right, because I learned a lot of that from you, being my mentor and everything. But my experience has been, look, there's the third eye is here, right? That's sort of in this area of your head.
Yeah.
And it's connected somehow to the pineal gland in your brain, right? Which is back here, sort of in the center of your brain, right? And that, like when I get clairvoyant images, messages, that sort of thing, I really feel it in the headspace. And when when I'm connecting with people and as you said, the gut intuition, it is down. You get a twinge in your stomach. You get a sense. You get a feel. It's much more somatic, I think is the word, right? You feel it in your body over the
Yeah,
visual kind of things. Very, very distinct. Interesting. So is it possible that
yeah.
somebody's like doesn't have
Which lead
this, but does have this, or vice versa?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I jokingly say that most of the people that I work with, um, we're all space cadets. In that there's natural sky connected people. You've got the third eye crown thing going on, and you wanna be up here all the time. And then you've got people that are very earth connected. And this perspective kind of leads us to a discussion about learning what chakras are,
Well, let's talk about chakras
which
because that's
again is
really important.
deeply into the woo.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's do it because I
Yeah.
think this is the
And
natural
so
progression.
okay. So, just in brief overview, we have 7 major chakras. The word chakra is a Sanskrit word that translates to wheel, and we call chakras wheels because the energy turns. So each energy center, each chakra is a little vortex. We can just like you see like a tornado, that's a vortex, the spinning energy, and it's a universal thing. Um, and we've got chakras in our body, energy turns through, and it's traditionally metaphorically represented by the rainbow. And that's why I've got the rainbow images in the studio here, if you've been here. Whereas the first chakra is red, and it's your root and it's your earth connection. And that's about abundance, and it's about tribe, it's about survival. Next is sacral, that's at the navel, represented by the color orange. And it is all about the senses and your 5 traditional senses. It's about vitality, health, and that kind of body awareness. And next is solar plexus. That's where we get butterflies when we're not feeling confident. If you get that butterfly feeling, that's in your solar plexus, and it's like you're energetically going, "I don't know about this,"
Mhm.
and you get that solar plexus flutter, and that's all about your confidence. But when you're feeling entirely confident, it feels strong and tight, and, that's our kind of physical core and strength core when we're feeling confident.
Mhm.
Next is heart, center of chest. I often follow the phrase center of chest with center of being. And I consider it the most significant chakra, but that's all opinion.
Mhm.
And our heart chakra is all about love and connection, but it's not necessarily our love and connection. It is the universe, the creator, God, whatever you're comfortable with. It is that energy coming through us.
Mhm.
That's what comes through our heart. And just an aside, not to go into too much detail, the high heart in between the heart and throat is connection to the people that are closest to us. We'll often put our hand up here when we're feeling that just intense emotional connection, and that's your high heart.
Mhm.
Next is throat, expression of heart, manifesting of heart, and kind of beaming out that which is within. Next is third eye, your higher intuition. And last is crown,
Mhm.
which is the top of your head, highest point on your skull. And there's a difference between the first and seventh chakras and the center 5, because the crown and the root is your main fuel line,
Mhm.
back and forth, sky to earth, earth to sky, energy goes back and forth. And then the center 5, the energy goes from front to back. And as are all represented by the different colors of the rainbow, it's because of the ascending frequency. The root chakra being the lowest frequency, as red is the lowest frequency color.
Mhm.
Below red is infrared, and that's just heat. And then the highest is violet, and higher than violet is ultraviolet, and that's no longer visible either.
Right. Yeah, makes it. Okay, so why do we need to understand chakras to start to think about reading people or reading a room? Like, how does that fit into the bigger conversation?
Okay. And it's just putting the horse before the cart, because before we can read a room,
Mhm.
we would want to know what the start point is.
Mhm.
And that's where we are. And as we begin to have our awareness expand, question that's valid is this mine?
Okay.
And so is this my heart stuff, or is this the room's heart stuff?
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because everything within our awareness becomes a feedback mechanism.
I see.
So when you walk into the room, on a physical level, you can be aware of things as you develop your intuition. On an emotional level, on a chakra level, where you feel the specific energies in the specific chakras. And when we're new to this, we can think these things are ours when they're not.
Hmm.
We just become aware of them, and maybe come to a conclusion. I'm really feeling sad, but you know what? Maybe you're not. Maybe you are aware of somebody else's sadness, and you've taken it on.
Mhm. I see. So, okay. So as we develop ourselves, we need to understand what's coming from us and what's coming from outside. Is there an easy way to get there, or is that just
Mhm.
practice? Or like how can somebody who's listening and who's never really done any of this, how do they distinguish that?
First and foremost is just asking the question, is this mine? And if we're willing to develop our intuition, especially with close-ended questions where it's just a simple yes or no, is this mine? Yes or no? We'll start to get answers. And whether or not we're talking to the universe or allowing our subconscious mind to come up and give us the answer, either way, we're getting an answer. Is this mine?
Right.
And we'll often find a lot of the stuff is not.
Right. Yeah. So tell me the story. I think this is you told me the story the other week when we were in when I came in to see you. And you talked about that lady who was afraid you were mad at her. Do you remember that story?
Ah,
Can you share that? Because I think it's very
yeah.
poignant.
So,
That's about external and
sure.
internal energy, right? And feeling something that's inside or outside. So tell
For
us that
sure.
story.
So, this happened a bunch of years ago. And usually, when I see clients at my home base, I put a little bit of a cushion between my appointments. Gives me the flexibility to run over if I want, gives somebody the flexibility to be a few minutes late if they want. And it's just makes life flowier.
Sure.
That's not a word, but I know.
I like it. Flowier. We
So,
should use that. Flowier.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, um, she messages me upset that she's gonna be late, and I'm like, "All good," is how I responded, but I found myself annoyed. And, my commute to seeing the service at that point was, seeing the client was 6 floors on an elevator, and now my commute is 1 floor on a staircase, so it's just no big deal, and I found myself getting really annoyed. I'm like, "Why am I annoyed?" I couldn't figure it out, but I found myself getting annoyed. And then she comes, I meet her at the door and I let her in, we're in the elevator, and she said something very intense, like, "You must hate me." And I'm like, "No, of course not." I said, "This is just no big deal." And I found myself really irritated. And then I was thinking about that, and I'm like, "This isn't me."
Right.
This was her being very self-conscious and, eh, really projecting like, "Oh my god, this is terrible, I'm late." And it really was no big deal, but me getting that wave of energy
Mhm.
and that connection to the client coming and like, "Oh my goodness, they're going to be so upset about this." And because of that projection, I found myself beginning to feel that. But at least self-aware enough to feel it and go, "What is this all about?
Right.
Why am I feeling this way?"
Right. And
Because it didn't add up,
no,
and
it's fascinating. It's
it
like
wasn't mine.
it wasn't yours. Right. Yeah. And I think that's like such a poignant example And as an add-on to that, we have to be conscious, because if we're being read, we could be projecting emotions on somebody else. And maybe even she could have,
For
like,
sure.
if you weren't as trained as you are, she could have willed you to actually be mad at her when her intention was to avoid that, but she was doing it, which is kind of fascinating too.
Right. Yep.
Like the energy
Right.
transfer. Yeah.
So we all want to be really aware of our expectations. What are we creating? Because we're always creating.
Mhm.
So what are we creating?
Mhm. Very, very good. Very good. I just thought that was a brilliant distinction there, because that wasn't coming from you, it was coming from her, right? That was out there. And when I guess you
Right.
probably have an automatic process where you're like, is this mine? And the the answer you got back was no, it's out there. And then realize where it came from.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
So what's next?
And just
Sorry, go
to
ahead.
be relevant as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is for those of us developing intuition, for those of us who are aware, you get up in the morning and sometimes you feel the world. And we don't want to come to the conclusion that that is our day we're feeling. We're feeling a greater sense, and we still have the ability to create our day. We don't have to get washed into the waves of what's going on out there.
Yeah. And so actually, this brings to mind. So 2025 has been a difficult year for a lot of people. And if you look at what's going on in the world with Gaza, with Ukraine, in the States, with the administration down there, there's a lot of what seemingly feels like negative energy out there. And I think a lot of people are actually ending the year feeling rather exhausted, because I think they're feeling
Mhm.
like, I mean, maybe this will help some people relate. Look, if you've been feeling crummy about the situation, it's not you. It's coming from the world right now, because the world is in a bit of turmoil. There's a really good example how most people are reading energy naturally, and it's not them, right?
Exactly. We are all one. We express ourselves in this form as individuals, of course, but ultimately we are all one, and consciously or subconsciously aware of so much more than our individuality.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. So let's, I know we were talking about doing a little exercise. We do exercises on the show all the time.
Mhm.
What are we going to do today? What are we going to teach our listeners and our viewers, by the way, because we're putting this on YouTube too now these days. We're starting to anyway. So what are we going to teach
Right.
everybody, the audience?
Well, I think we're going to do a body scan or a chakra scan, in that we are going to just close our eyes, go within, and then go through each chakra to check in how we're feeling.
Okay. And then how does that
And
factor into the ultimate reading of other people? Like, give us some context on how that fits in, because obviously I know what it is, but let's tell everybody.
sure, and that's that we kind of have to have a start point, in that if we are unaware of how we feel and aren't yet in a place of self-awareness, it's very difficult to be aware and use intuition in reading a room, in another person, um, and doing that well and accurately. It's the key to all of this. This is awareness, and the first step is developing self-awareness.
Good. Okay. So let's do it. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. And so, please edit in some nice meditation calming music.
I will. Right?
Just
Ready?
close
One,
your
two, three.
eyes,
There it is.
healing breaths, closed eyes. And allowing our awareness to expand. Breathing a little bit slower, a little bit deeper, and allowing our body to soften. shoulders, arms, rib cage, hips, down to feet. Just softening and letting go. And within this expanded awareness, tuning into our earth connection, our root chakra, and in doing so, tuning into feet, legs, hips, breathing and feeling. And do we feel connected to the earth? Just holding an intention that we are one, energetically, frequency-wise, with the earth. And our root chakra is in harmony with her. And tuning into this energy, feeling safe, feeling abundant, feeling all our needs met. And we breathe. And tuning into our sacral chakra at navel. And consciously becoming aware of our 5 senses. And just allowing them to be part of a greater field of awareness. And breathing vitality, abundant health. Breathing and feeling good in our body. And going to solar plexus, just below sternum, our core, and feeling strength, feeling confident, strength of heart in our core. And breathing this strength. And bringing awareness to heart, center of chest, center of being. And sending love to every living thing, every plant, every flower, every tree, every animal, every fish, every person on the planet. Sending love to everything. Bringing awareness to throat chakra, expression, sharing, manifesting all that is in our heart, and just feeling clarity, having the openness to dare to dream about everything in our heart. And putting it out there in our signal. This is my life. Tuning into third eye. Center of forehead, just above eyebrows. In our inner knowing. being open to that soft, quiet voice within, being open to the images within our mind's eye, being open to that higher intuition that guides us, that embraces us, that nudges us in loving ways. And becoming aware of our crown chakra, highest point on skull, focused aperture about the size of a coin, and a column of light that goes through the roof, through the ceiling, and into the sky, into the stars. And our chakras connect. Mother Earth to Father Sky, and Father Sky to Mother Earth. And we breathe this energy, this awareness, this flow. And we shine. And taking all the time you need. When you're ready, open your eyes.
That's really great. If I could do that before I went into a business meeting, especially a critical one, you probably just go through the different chakras sitting at your desk, right? But I just feel like the field grows. My sensitivity is like I've even got tingly fingers and toes right now. Now, that's something fairly unique.
Definitely.
My wife doesn't get that, or at least she doesn't get that yet. She has a different process, but it's amazing because I think if you could do that, I could probably read people much more effectively walking into the boardroom or walking into a meeting than if I went in cold. So I do think it requires a bit of prep, but I mean, that's not difficult. You could replicate that on your own with or without your guidance, once you knew the process. And then you're like this big, as you said, you shine, you do shine. But I think within that shining, it's almost like having a force field around you that can absorb others and read others and feel in a way that is different from the five senses. That's my assumption anyway. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. And to even encourage people more, that state that you just described is being present. There's something magical that happens when we're present, in that we're not thinking about the future. We're not thinking about the past. We're just in this moment, in our breath. Awareness is opened and expanded. And when we start on a journey, we'll have a process of going through the chakras, going through a practice. But after we get good at it, you can get present in one healing breath. Just feeling that breath to the best of your ability in your cells. I'm just feeling that breath in this present moment just for one breath. And then you're kind of in authentic power instead of in some kind of drama.
Yeah. It's almost like calming your nervous system. In one instant, click, and you're there. And I do think that would take some practice.
Yeah.
But once you've got it, I think you could invoke it anytime. And, that would also be really good. Let's say you're in an argument with somebody, a business partner, an employee, a vendor, or whatever it is. And if you could get aware like that in that moment, there's something about being able to be with whatever's going to come at you in a much more graceful and even powerful way than unless you let your logical mind run the show in those moments of stress. I feel like that's true.
Right. And there's a great paradigm in mindfulness in that when we get to that point of awareness, we get to respond and never react.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, even that split second pause stops a fight, stops an argument, stops conflict, stops punch from being thrown or those words being said. So very effective, both at home and at work, of course, you know.
For sure.
Very good, Andrew. Very good. Brilliant work as always. Thank you for that. And so two things before we sign off here and go into the WooBiz Plus segment. One, I want you to tell us a little bit about the studio and what you're up to and how people can find you, because I think people are going to be knocking on your door about Reiki. I know you do a ton of training there, and certainly that might be there. And the other thing is, tell us a little bit about can you give us a little inkling of what you're going to do for our members? Because we'll do that in a few minutes when we get out of here for them. But just give people a little preview of what you think we're going to do in the extended episode.
Well, what's coming to me now is that I want to build on the exercise we just did.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to connect in with someone else in someone in our life, honoring free will, of course, but connecting in with an intention of healing and connection and compassion.
Great. Okay. So let's do that. So we'll flip on over there. Tell us where people can get hold of you. What's the best mechanism? Would you say the website?
Website, socials, everything is Energy Awaken, all one word. Energy Awaken. Yeah, I'm available online, in person, for trainings and sessions and all that cool woo stuff.
Very good. Very good. EnergyAwaken.com is the website. Andrew's easy to get hold of. I found him through Eventbrite, interestingly enough, for in-person stuff. But of course, you do online training and stuff like that. You do remote sessions as well. So I highly recommend that people get hold of you that way. That's really excellent. And then for the people that are local to us here in Canada, Hamilton, Ontario, you're on Barton Street. So tell people a little bit about that, so people know that they can come see you if they're local.
Yeah, this is Energy Awaken headquarters, available here for in-person sessions. There are regular Reiki trainings. Everybody should learn Reiki. There's regular meditation. There's regular breath work, starting up with some yoga. And the whole intention with this space is that it's sacred space in Hamilton.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, you are perhaps one of the sole reasons why I am doing the show, because I didn't know where I was going to start, and you were there for me at the beginning. I sought you out. I found you. We became friends. You became my mentor. So I can't endorse you more. People, you should reach out to this guy. He is quite the mystic. That's Andrew Bray from Energy Awaken. Thanks, Andrew, for being with us this week.
My pleasure. It's great to know you, Andy.
Me too. Okay, that's great. For everybody out there, don't forget, you can check out all of the information you need to know about Andrew too, if you didn't write it down, on our show notes. We are on all the audio platforms. We are about to drop into YouTube too. So if you heard this and you want to see it, we're going to be on YouTube shortly with this episode. So please check us out over there as well. It's a work in progress. So I'll warn you right now, if you go too quickly, you won't see much, but I'm working on it, I promise. So with that, my name is Andy Walker. This is WooBiz. And don't forget, stay in the woo.